Hi everyone, it's Kelsey with Junk Journal Magic. I thought I'd come on and show you my papers I've dyed for the Dollar Tree Junk Journal Challenge. One did not turn out the way I wanted, so I spent a whole day dyeing and then ironing papers. Not that it was as many papers as some of the other things you'll see. Usually I get an hour and a half of good energy and then it's kaput. And I'm down to doing something very light and easygoing. That's just the way it is for me after chronic Lyme's disease. Let's look at what we have for the Dollar Tree Junk Journal Challenge when it comes to dyeing paper. This is all I have left of this Dollar Tree sketch pad. It is not as wonderful when it gets wet as the other pad I got. It was the black one with the coil binding. Now, here's the deal. This is absolutely fine paper, but when you get it wet, it kind of gets lighter. And I'm like, I would rather my paper be a little sturdier. Usually when I wet papers, when I dye them, they dry a little thicker because it's like the fibers shrink and they kind of pull together and you get this kind of thicker paper. So I ironed everything. This is the back of the spring-bound sketch pad. I dyed it too with what was left. This is all tea dye. I'll show you these other dyes and where I use them in a minute, but this is tea dye, so I am going to use this. Then I went ahead and tea dyed graph paper. You can see every now and then some lines. Some are harder to see than others. You get this color up here along the edge because there's no overlap and the water pools. Here are some grid lines down here. And let's see, here's some lines here, the notebook paper side. Here's some grid lines up here. This side, you just see a bunch of stripes. And it's like the red is more permanent than all the other colors you use to create the blue lines. What does that mean? That means that your inks that are water-based, when they get wet, they reconstitute and move around. And these cheaper papers that are printed with water-based ink, like cheap graph paper, those lines move. And I end up with dye. I get a lot of hints of blues and greens. And I get a lot of patterning. It's very faint though. Here's some more patterning. And I was just thrilled to have some colors because it's just part of using the graph paper and dyeing the graph paper. So I was only out for the graph paper, some tea bags, which I already had 1 million in a big bag. I didn't buy any more at Dollar Tree. And I used about 8 in a cup of water and then I refilled it once. And so I had 2 cups of tea to dye all of this paper this color. There's the lines there. That there was quite a bit of dyed paper I got out of 8 tea bags and 2 cups of water. So that was the grid paper. And then I wonder if I can show you the comparison with these other papers, if you can see it. You just get these patches of blue and green. And here, this is just the tea. If these were touching the graph paper, when I laid them all down on cookie sheets, I did stick them in the oven and I did run it at 350 because I wanted to hurry. If this paper is wet with tea and you put it next to and or touching the graph paper, you might get some of that color from the graph paper wicking onto it or just soaking into it up from beneath where it is. So, I don't want to mix all that together. Here's some more. It's kind of got a little bluish green. Maybe we'll call that aqua. Little aqua tint to it. There's some printer paper in here. You probably won't be able to tell the difference between that sketch pad I showed you at the beginning. I think this is printer paper. I'm not sure. But toward the end, when I refilled the tea water once, it would get really dark, probably because of this color from the graph paper. There's some blue-green dye that transfers into the tea. So, just saying, this is just easygoing dyeing, nothing really technical. And I did, because I don't have any scrapbook paper from Dollar Tree, I just grabbed some old dictionary. This is a giant dictionary, and it was already discolored from age, but I went ahead and just dropped a bunch of coffee on it, made some discolored text pages that I can use either in layering or as pages, just kind of break up what I'm going to show you later that I've dyed, because I don't want this to all be just one big pastel book. That's not what I'm after. I just wanted some different colors and some variations. This is undyed, but that's exactly what they look like going into dyeing. And I just wanted a bunch of different colors. This is from the Celestial coloring book, and I wanted to see how these papers came out of water if I just got them wet and dyed them, to see if they would shrink down and thicken. They're still pretty flimsy. I don't know if I'm going to use those like this. They seemed firmer before I got them wet and attempted to shrink them. So that is another option I have. Then I had just my standard favorite way to use graph paper. Maybe this is better. What I do is I'm banking for nature stuff with books, and with this is, to me, this is rain clouds. So I made quite a few of these, which does not involve dunking the papers. So it's just fun to play with it and try to get some watercolor effects. And I think it did pretty well. I got quite a few. I'm not going to show you all of them, but that is what you can do with watercolor. You can activate the water-based ink in the grid system. See the pink? It's still there, not a problem. But when you activate that ink in there, the blue will move. And it does affect the color you use in a tub if you're dyeing more papers. Now, I had these inks from Dollar Tree. I did not use green. I used this color blue. You can see it right here. It was really bright. Now, if you compare it with this, it's almost the same. It's much brighter. I decided this was not going to work for what I wanted to do, and I dyed a bunch of papers. There's more down here. I just wanted to show you what you could do if you had a theme, maybe 70s, psychedelic funk, whatever. You could get in there. I just opened the package, took the bottle out, added the water the way it's supposed to, shook it up. Then I put these in a tub. This one, I put the paper in here, and then I just took it and I just did this. And sometimes I did swirls, made little circles, whatever. You'll see as I show you a few more. But this is a really good technique if you want to have some bright color. Turquoise was a good one. The other one was like a fuchsia pink, maybe a fuchsia violet, can't remember. It wasn't quite pink and it wasn't quite purple, but here's some more. And there are quite a few different colors. I didn't get yellow, I didn't get purple. I got the dark blue, more like a denim, or I don't know what they called it, midnight, something like that. I was hoping for black, they didn't have it. So I used two blues and this pink. I did this on 4th of July weekend, and I was afraid it looked red, white, and blue, but it doesn't. Did I pass up? This is the one where I was kind of swirling it into circles, and you get some neat patterns. This is really cool. All you do is you set this out to dry. Like I put it in the garage. It's very hot and very dry here. It wasn't humid that day. And boy, it just wicked the moisture out of this paper. It didn't take long at all. Oh, I love that one. Didn't take long at all to dry these. And then of course I ironed them. This one is just that fuchsia pink, whatever color it was. Okay, and then I had, no, see, I'm not using these, but that was a whole nother day's worth of testing and attempting to get something I could use. I'm not going to use these for this project. Now, then I tried to get the ink to wick up into these books. And it could be I needed to use more dye, mix up dye with even more water, maybe twice as much water. I put it into a big Ziploc bag, turned it up like this where the top was open, and then the ink would wick up into the papers, and it just doesn't get into the center. I think I didn't use enough water, but these are papers I can use when I use those tie-dyed papers. This one's a little better, but see, it's not as thick, and I think it was easier for the ink to get in there. And this one, okay, so what I really wanted was some light pink, and it didn't dawn on me until I was making guacamole. I'm going to make avocado dye. So I did. I made avocado dye. And I'm like, you know, if it's cheating using trash in your junk journal because you didn't get the trash from Dollar Tree, I don't know. Maybe I'm bad. I'm just going to use it. But this was more the color I wanted. And you can see that depending on the paper, you get different colors from the dye. These are different colors as well. And then here's graph paper, same technique as I did with the tea bags. Oh my God, this whole project's going to be paper dyeing other than hunting for things at Dollar Tree, because I feel like that's all I did. But there's there's typewriter paper, that sketch pad I showed you in the beginning, and then that little spiral bound sketch pad. Those pages are in here too, or like right here. So, you know, this is just avocado dye and me trying to make it as messy as possible to get all that dye in different intensities everywhere. The papers all seem to dye the same though. I did take, when I did this, and use the doilies in between pages, and I got a little bit of something here and there, but I don't think any of it's significant enough to look frilly. It would have been nice to have a very feminine doily effect. This one was just a mess. And then I dyed the cover from the back of the Dragon Legends book. So I used all the ink up for all that, and I had, because I was looking for text pages, I just grabbed this. It was on the top of my pile on the desk, and they're from Winnie the Pooh, and I ran down and threw them in the mix too. I wanted to have some text blocks to use for layering, and I'm not going to use Pooh's pictures. It's just not happening. This is not a Winnie the Pooh book. I do have one. It's in my Etsy shop, but I am not making a Winnie the Pooh book this go round. I like this right here. But this is the discoloration from both the avocado dye and the graph paper blue ink. So that's where that came from. There's a few, these are torn pages that I can use for various things, so I separated them out. And then lastly, I had, let me show you, I had all of these cards I'm going to use as cardstock, and I had all of these envelopes, and I am going to use the envelopes for decorative paper. I thought, why don't I take it and dye it so I have two tones? It worked. Here's the brighter pink. Looks good. I don't know if I have another turquoise, but the orange definitely is different, but I thought those would be really good for variations of color. Oh, here's one. Let me see. So there. These tones came from the avocado ink at the very end. So it had a lot of that, the blue-green from the graph paper, and that affected the color here. So those are my papers. That's what I'm using, aside from all these coloring book pages from 3 coloring books. Those will be used as well. And I think, well, no, I'm lying. I have this paper. I have the pages out of here. They had the prints on them. Let me see. These. So, if, for grins, we take some of this stuff, that looks perfect. Looks absolutely wonderful. So, I'm pretty happy with this. And here we can use some of these pages just to get a little black in there. It's great. I think this is going to work. And if we add, oh my goodness, why is everything so difficult? It's because I'm making a video. That's why everything's so difficult. If we put some of this darker paper down here, it's awesome. All this stuff goes together.